Welcome to Watch Symposium. I'm Austin. All right, so you're hearing some very heavy wind outside, possibly, so that's what that is, if you're curious. All right, so Brandon lives in Osaka, yeah, and he's visiting Tokyo, so these are the watches he's brought, and we thought we'd go through them, and maybe he can kind of walk us through what he likes about them and any other relevant information. So you guys have seen this. This is the Seiko cocktail, and this is what he wore to the Seiko Museum, as you know. There's actually one at the gift shop in the Seiko Museum for 55,000 yen, and they don't make these anymore, right?
Nope.
So that's I guess that when that goes at the museum, it'll be a presage that you'll need to get if you want to go cocktail. Yeah. So what would you like to say about the cocktail?
Well, I got it because I kind of wanted a dress watch, although I hardly ever dress up, and this strap that I have it on is definitely not dressy at all. So I wear it casually most of the time, but I kind of wanted like a dressier looking watch, and I loved the dial work on it, and I got a good deal on it, and it fills the role that the Chrono Swiss Jump Hour will take eventually, like the kind of a silver dial watch that I wear on a purple strap.
So this is your dressiest watch. You would say this is your dress watch if you had to have one.
If I had to have one.
And it just becomes a little less dressy with the strap, a little more funky with the strap.
Yeah, I love putting it on like a funky colored suede strap.
Well, you do love your straps, that's for sure. You've got you're traveling with like how many straps?
Like 7.
Like a 4-day trip and 4 watches.
Yeah, well, I kind of mostly brought them to show you. Okay, but you're not interested in straps.
but you're all prepared. All right, and let's see. There was something I wanted to ask you about this watch. Oh yeah, the accuracy. What's going on with it?
Okay, well, it was running +3.
+3, okay.
Which is pretty good. And then I dropped it on a table. I dropped it probably like maybe 8 inches, so like 20 centimeters flat, like dial side down onto my table in the living room. And now it's running +25.
Okay, all right. Still usable, but yeah, that's
it's still technically within the factory specs for this movement, but
I know how that is. Yeah,
not great.
Yeah, well, for you guys watching, it happened to me. I before my Explorer 2 had a service, it was running within COSC, and I dropped it, and all of a sudden it sped up to over 15 seconds a day, which kind of prompted me to get a service. It needed one anyway. So
it looks like this one's only running +20 today.
Okay, so you might not have it serviced, but just have it regulated.
Yeah, I'll probably.
That's kind of what I want. To have done with some of my Seiko 5s.
Yeah.
All right, so next we've got the Bulgari.
You with the Bulgari.
Yeah, no, that's a kind of a running joke we have because. I always confuse Bulova and Bulgari, and in fact, we were talking yesterday, and I said, Bulova, what's with the V shaped like a U? And Brandon's like, that's
Bulgari.
Yeah. Man. So anyway, for me, they're pretty much all the same. But tell me about this Bulova. I see that sweeping second hand, so it must be mechanical. Yes.
It's not mechanical. It is It's kind of like the next generation of like the Accutron tuning fork movement. It's Bulova's, Bulova's own proprietary ultra high frequency quartz.
Okay. So usually like quartz, the way it works is how would you say it? Like the oscillator. Shakes or something at once per second, and that gives you the staccato ticking.
Which I'm not crazy about.
Okay, so. And this is just the oscillator just vibrates more.
Yeah, and so
it
gives you a really smooth sweep.
It's almost surprising that they didn't do that in the past, but I guess it's easier just to.
Yeah, well, Accutron and Bulova have have kind of always been about that with their quartz.
Well, I gotta say, it's so much nicer to look at without that.
I absolutely hate the tick 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 of a quartz.
Yeah, so. I mean, I can sort of forgive it if it's something like a Grand Seiko with that 9F movement, but even then, it's just
then it doesn't hit the minute markers. You know.
Yeah, it's just well, we're into mechanical watches for a reason, and so
right. This is just my beater.
Yeah, so this is your beater. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I got it for $110, and I wear it when I teach kindergarten when the kids are tugging on me, and you know, that's its purpose.
And
I don't even consider it part of my collection, actually.
Yeah, I've got watches like that too. All right, and accuracy-wise, probably so good you don't even...
yeah, I mean, like, I got it 6.5 weeks ago, and I think it's off a half a second.
Okay, all right. Right on, so the Bulova, or a.k.a. the Bulgari.
Bulgari.
All right. Okay, so we got the Tudor, and this was your first really good watch, right?
Yeah, this is like my first $1,000+ watch.
And this is the, of course,
pre-in-house version.
Yeah, so this is the ETA.
Mm-hmm. When I got it, they hadn't released the in-house version yet, so this was the only option I had. But
and so now I feel like I'm repeating myself because in another video, I think I asked you what you liked about it and what you disliked about it, but I won't ask you the same thing. But any sort of reflections on it since I last saw you, which was probably about a year ago?
Yeah, I mean, I've been living with it, and it's been a good watch. I tend to wear it on a strap more than on the bracelet. The bracelet has a really nice clasp, but at times, like, the bracelet can feel a little sharp to me around the edges. I think I mentioned that in the last video we talked about. But I mean, other than that, it's been a great watch. And
accuracy-wise,
it's like +2 a day.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's running really well.
And you've never had it serviced?
Nope.
All right, that's interesting. Now, you told me something interesting about telling the difference between the in-house movement and the ETA movement, which this one is. And so, how do you identify?
There's a few big tells, but the main ones in terms of the dial are the ETA version that I have here has the rose logo, the Tudor rose logo at 12.
Okay, so right below the
right below the triangle.
Okay, you see the rose right there.
The rose, and at the bottom it's kind of obscured or kind of covered up by the hour hand right now. But at 6 it says self-winding, and it's kind of like people call it the smiley face text.
So it's curved up.
It's curved up. Whereas on the in-house version, the dial has the Tudor Shield logo at 12 and straight text at 6.
Okay, so self-winding is straight.
It's straight, yeah.
And the shield. And so what about the crown? Would the crown be?
The crowns are pretty much the same.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Here,
the in-house version.
Pick it up and let's have a look at the crown there. That's the Tudor Rose. It's got a really nice fat crown, and I love the coin edge of the bezel.
I love the big crown on this. I have a thing for big crowns. As you can see in the next watch as well.
And if you look, whoops, as I covered up, you rotate it this way, and you can see between. Is that like the crown barrel? I guess you call it.
It's the crown tube. Yeah.
The crown tube, and look at that. They've got matching outside.
Yeah, it's anodized the same color as the bezel.
That's just a really nice touch.
It's a really nice touch. It's one of my favorite things about the aesthetic of this watch, actually.
I bet it's got a really good wind to it.
Yeah, it's nice.
And it's domed crystal.
Yep.
That is very nice. Well, I think this is the one to have because I'm all about watches that you can't get anymore. If you tell me you can't get a watch, I'm all of a sudden
makes it that more desirable.
50% or 60% more interested.
Yeah, and actually, a lot of the watches in my future collection are ones in the collection that I just told you about are watches that are discontinued or you can't get easily anymore.
All right, and then the last one.
Last one, yep. This is the Glycine Airman 18. It's suddenly I've become very inarticulate, but I really like this watch. I like aviation watches a lot. Divers, and actually, if I were to pick a genre of watches, aviation watches would be my favorite genre. And I like the history behind this. Like, it was conceptualized back in the 50s. It actually beat the GMT Master into production by a year.
Huh. All right. That's interesting.
Yeah, and the original Airman, there's been a lot of variations since then. But I like this one because it keeps pretty much the aesthetic of the original, but with a few kind of modern touches. The crowns are bigger, and the font is different on the bezel, and the case is bigger than the original. The original was 36 millimeters, but this is 39, and I think 39 is a more modern size without being too big.
And so it's the hours is 1 to 24. So
yeah,
that hour hand goes
24-hour dial, which I love about it. It's just a very unique thing. And then there's a 24-hour bezel too. So it's a
when you're checking the time, do you have to sort of think twice?
I've really gotten used to it. A lot of people have said like, oh, I could never get used to that. But for me, it was really easy to get used to. And the cool thing about it is if you're not sure, like see, like right now this is not the correct time, but right now the hour hand is between 17 and 18, so between 5 and 6 o'clock. But if so it's almost 5:30. But if you look at the back end of the hour hand, you'll see that there's a tip pointing between 5 and 6.
Okay, there you go. So yeah, that helps out.
So yeah, so if you're having trouble telling time past 12,
that's
past
really
12 o'clock, then
thoughtful.
Then yeah, it's a nice little design element.
And as far as changing time zones, you just use that bezel.
Yeah, you just rotate the bezel. So
which is
I have it set to U.S. East Coast time. Right
okay,
now.
which is kind of interesting because you just don't grab the bezel and turn it. You want to grab it and show us like how you.
Sure. Yeah.
It's weird how you. Have to unscrew this.
This crown here is actually a bezel lock.
Okay.
So you have to unscrew it, and I've screwed it down super tightly, and my hands are sweaty right now. So I don't know.
Can you get it?
I can't get it right now.
All right.
My hands are too sweaty.
And so that just.
But yeah, you unscrew this, and then you turn the bezel, and then you lock it back down.
Keeps the bezel from inadvertently rotating. But
yeah.
I gotta say, guys, because when I was messing around with it last night.
There's no chance that bezel's going anywhere.
No, because even with that bezel lock undone, it's really hard to turn. So the bezel lock is kind of neat, and perhaps some would say gimmicky, but really not something you need at all.
But it's a stylistic element of the Airman that has been around since its inception. So I like that kind of like throwback to its heritage. And as I was mentioning with the Tudor, I like big crowns, and this one has oversized crowns.
Yeah, what's the design there on the crown?
Yeah, this is like a I think I call it like a hatched. Hatched.
Just like a nice
here.
design.
And then this one is the Glycine logo.
Okay, let me get a shot of that. Okay, is that a crown?
It is a crown, yeah.
All right, like a 3-pronged crown.
Yeah, 3-pronged crown.
All right. Is that Rolex influence?
Who knows? It might be.
Cool. All right. Well, this is a good travel collection for 4 days in Tokyo.
Yeah, I left my Rolex and my Grand Seiko at home.
All right. Well, hey, this works. Okay. Hey, thanks for sharing your collection. Your half of your collection.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Thanks, guys, for watching. Take care. See you next time.